Hey guys, today I dropped the mic on overpriced basic bitch boutique amplifiers. Say that 5 times really fast. Okay, so before we get started, let me just say this. If you bought a very expensive boutique amplifier and it doesn't have a lot of features on it, but you bought it because you love the tone and you don't mind spending the money, then none of what I'm saying here applies to you at all. Even though those types of amps don't really work for me, I totally understand why they work for other people. So there's no judgment here regarding that. I'm just a guy sharing my thoughts about stuff on YouTube.
But for all you status buyers, clout chasers, and fanboys, we all know what you're compensating for. But at the end of the day, you still have a tiny little Winky and a matching bank account.
I see it just about every day on Facebook, especially in all of the guitar amplifier groups. New amp day, and there's some picture of some overpriced, featureless amp that they spent a bunch of money on, and it only does one thing. Then there's all of these comments from everybody saying how jealous they are of this person and how they wish they could have one just like it. Instant status. And a lot of these amps might have 2 channels, but one of them is usually completely useless and the other one is the good channel. So basically half of the money that you spend on this amplifier is already completely wasted. And to make things even worse, most of these high-end amplifiers don't even have any features that all of us, or at least most of us, would benefit from. Here's a quick list of some of the features that I think these amplifiers should at least have a few of. MIDI and a DI out with an internal load box, so you don't have to hook the amp up to a cab in order to use the DI out. How redundant would that be, right? And the DI out should also have a good impulse response or cab sim, not something that's like an afterthought. Give us a good quality one, not like, oh, here's your stupid cab sim, go away, you know? Give us a good cab sim in that DI out. And a few voicing switches, like if you want the amp to be a little more or less aggressive, just give us a couple of switch options in there. Maybe a mid boost or a mid cut, you know, just things like that. I mean, it's not hard to do. There's many amplifier companies that are doing that now, and it's pretty common with the amps that are built by guys who actually want to give you more value for your money. And for God's sakes, more than one usable channel. What about independent channel EQs? Really? A shared EQ on a $3,800 amp? You gotta be freaking kidding me. And how about 2 master volumes instead of just 1? And why not make the amplifier and its features programmable? In other words, you could set each channel up to your optimum settings and then save those settings. So every time you change to that channel, all those features are on or off or set up according to your taste. And then there's the whole customizable option. I mean, that's a big thing nowadays. I mean, you know, there's a lot of amplifier companies now that let you pick the Tolex and maybe even the front grille, the knobs, and there's a lot of other aesthetics that you can choose about the amplifier. Again, I'm talking about high-end amplifiers here that you pay a lot of money for, so why not have these types of features as well? I mean, if you're going to spend that kind of money on an amplifier, why not customize it and have it look exactly how you want it to? And here's a big one with me, especially with a couple of companies out there. Make the damn thing sound different than all of the other amplifiers in your lineup. Yeah, I know, there's some companies out there that do signature amps with rock stars, and they put a little switch on there to make it sound 5% different than all of their other amps, and then they wrap it with a pretty colored Tolex to make it look cool. Big freaking deal.
Yeah, slapping a rock star's name on your amplifier and covering it with a bunch of pretty Tolex is the key to great tone and great profits.
Now to be clear, I'm not saying that all these amps should possess every one of these features, but it would be nice if these amplifiers came with at least some of them, wouldn't it? But instead, they hide behind buzzwords like proprietary components, hand-wired, top-notch power transformers, built like a tank, secret sauce, or they'll even go as far as slapping some rock star's name on it and jacking the price up even higher. Now regarding all of these supposed high-end components, prove it. Never mind, we'll just take your word for it. Now, I know that prices on amplifiers do go up and down depending on where they're built. For example, American-made amps can be quite pricey. That said, there are plenty of amplifiers built in America that offer a great value for the price. Alright, so here's the part of the video where I give you some examples of higher end boutique amplifiers that are actually worth the price that they're asking. Alright, so let's kick things off with the Mesa Trinity. This is a hand-wired, hand-built amp out of Italy. I mean, look at how beautiful this amp is. These things are like the Maserati of amplifiers. If you ever seen gut shots on these amps, I mean, the inside of these amplifiers is impeccably built. I mean, they're just beautiful on the inside. Every solder joint, every single part of this amplifier on the inside is just gorgeous. Look at Tony McKenzie's channel, and he actually took one apart and showed a lot of the gut shots and the insides of this amplifier, and it is just amazingly built. I mean, look at the front panel on this amplifier. There's a ton of features on here. And if you notice, you have 3 channels. You have a clean, a crunch with 2 modes on it. You have a low gain and a high gain mode on channel 2, which is the crunch channel. And then channel 3 is the high gain fire breathing channel, which you can use for leads, or you can actually use it for rhythms as well. And on the back, you have 2 master volumes, and you also have the resonance and presence controls. And you also have a special feature on this amplifier, which is called the negative feedback knob. So if you want a little bit of a softer, more classic rock kind of top end, you just turn it lower. And if you want more bite and more attack and aggression, and probably stepping more into the modern territory, you turn it higher and you get that really nice bite and attack on the top end. It's a great feature to have, and all of the features on this amplifier regarding the buttons that are on the front panel are programmable. So you could program each channel to sound and feel exactly how you want it to, and the amp saves those settings. So every time you switch those channels, all those settings come on and off accordingly. And it also has MIDI, so you can control this amplifier with any kind of unit that has MIDI in it. Like I'm using the Boss ES8 now, and it switches all of the channels on this amplifier. So it's really nice to have. So let's go ahead and hear what each one of these channels sound like really quick, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go through the features and the channels of each amplifier that I'm recommending in this video really quick for you, so that at least you get a chance to understand what the features are and how these amplifiers sound. So let's just go through channel 1, 2, and 3 on this amp now. Isn't that amazing? An amplifier with 3 actual usable channels. How rare is that, especially in the boutique world when they charge $1 billion for an amplifier and they give you 1 usable channel and the other channel they give you is a throwaway. It's like flyover country. That's how you build an expensive amp right there. You give us channels that are actually freaking usable. I mean, I don't know why some of these amp builders just don't get that concept. They give you 1 good channel and then they give you this crappy freaking flyover country channel that nobody uses. Okay, fine, 5 people use it. The rest of us scoff at the channel because it's garbage. And they still charge us up the ass for it anyways because of their legendary status. That's how you build an amp right there. That's how you do it. You give us 3 usable channels and some awesome features. How hard is that for you guys to freaking understand? Seriously, get a grip. It's just one of those things I get really passionate about, you know, because I just get so sick and tired of seeing these huge price tags on these amplifiers, and they're so stripped down and basic, and they just offer you nothing but 1 channel. And the audacity that these guys have to put that kind of price tag on an amplifier that does 1 thing. It's a one-trick pony, and it does it just sort of okay, especially when you compare it to amps like the Mesa and the other ones that I'm going to show you. Alright, so let's move on to the Rev Generator Mark III and quickly go over the features, and I'll play some riffs on that amp for you as well. Alright, so with the Rev Generator Mark III, you get 4, once again, usable channels. They're not throwaways. There's no flyover country on the Rev at all. You get a clean channel, you get a really good classic rock channel, which is the green channel. And when you get into the purple and red channels, that's when you get into the modern high gain territory. I love how those channels are voiced, and there's plenty of gain on those channels to do whatever you want with. And this amp is just brutal, it's thick, and it's rich with a lot of great tone. And it's loaded with features. I mean, look at the front panel on this amplifier. You have a store switch, so you can store all of the settings on the amplifier. Again, awesome. You can program this amplifier. And then you have a bright switch for channel 1, and then you also have a drive for channel 2 if you want a little extra gain, which I usually use. It sounds really good. And then on channel 3 and 4, which is the purple and red channels, you get an aggression switch for each of those channels, and you have 3 modes. You have off, blue, and red. And then you also get a bright, cut, and fat switch for each of the high gain channels, because again, they're programmable. And you also get a noise gate and reverb. I mean, the noise gate on this amplifier is phenomenal. So, I mean, that's really good. And then here's the really nice thing about this amplifier. Inside, you get the 2 notes torpedo technology. So you can literally take this amplifier by itself to a gig with no cab and plug it in and just go front of house with it and not have to use a cab. It has a built-in load box. And you get all the 2 notes tech and everything associated with it built into the amplifier. So you can use whatever impulse responses you want, or you can use the stock ones, which I will show you. I actually like the stock one a lot, so I just stick with that for now. And it also has that really cool feature in it called Twin Track, which it actually gives you that big wide sound. But for this video, I'm not going to get into all the 2 note stuff. It would just take too long, but I'm just telling you, there's a lot of features in this amplifier, and for the price, you really can't beat it. And I'm actually controlling this amplifier via MIDI right now. So right now, I'm on the purple channel, and with the push of a button, it switches over to the red channel. And that's all the programming I did with it, but I could do much more programming with it later. I'm just showing you a couple things today. Alright, so let's go ahead and just go through the purple and red channels right now, and I'll be playing them through my Mesa 212 cab, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch to the 2 notes tech so you can hear that as well. Alright, so let's quickly just hear a riff on the green channel as well. Alright, so there you have it. You have 4 usable channels on this amplifier. Again, there's no flyover country on it. It's all good. And with all the features in there, it really is a great value. And here's the thing too, like none of these features are gimmicky. You know what I mean? There's not like this gimmick aspect to it. It's like, oh, let's just put a bunch of whiz bangs and whatsy-whoosies on the amp and make everybody feel like they're getting a value because there's all this useless crap on it. No, all of these features are 100% usable on this amplifier, and they really do, again, add a ton of value to it. I mean, imagine taking just the amp head with you to a show and leaving your cab at home and just plugging direct into front of house and having an awesome sound for your audience and for yourself. Let's go ahead and hear what the DI out sounds like on this amp. And mind you, this is just the stock cab that came with it. I didn't even go to the 2 note store and upgrade or update or buy any cabs. I just used what it came with, and it sounds really freaking good. So I'll go ahead and play a couple riffs for you here on the purple channel so you can hear what the DI out sounds like with the 2 notes technology. I mean, that sounds phenomenal. So you have the best of both worlds with this amplifier. You can take your cab with you and it sounds great through that, or if you want to leave it at home and run it direct out and it sounds freaking killer. Tons of value. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, and there's no sacrifice in quality at all. All the components in here are good, and it's built well. It's hand built in Canada, and these guys really care about their company and their customers, and they do a phenomenal job on their products. Rev is definitely a really good company to do business with. So now let's move on to one of the more expensive amps on my shelves here, the Diesel Herbert. Now the thing is that is a pretty expensive amp. I mean, it's just over $4,000, but you're gonna get a lot for your money. There are other amplifiers out there that cost even more than this, and they offer half of what this amplifier offers. And honestly, I don't even think they sound as good. This is mouth of God tone here. This is a killer amplifier. I mean, you have 3, once again, very usable channels, and channel 2 has 2 different modes. You have a low gain and a high gain mode. You have a mid-cut switch that works for both channel 2 and channel 3, 2 master volumes, it's MIDI controllable, and it's fully programmable. And it's 180 watts. I mean, this thing is just a fire-breathing beast. And it really sounds amazing. And I mean, come on, it's a diesel or diesel or however you want to pronounce it. But you know the quality that this company has. I mean, they don't make low-end stuff. It's all high-end stuff that they make. So it's a really good amp. So let's hear what this sounds like. I'll just go through the 3 channels for you really quick, starting with channel 1, which is the clean channel. Then we'll go to channel 2 and the plus, which is the higher gain mode, and then channel 3. Alright, and last but certainly not least, we have the Red 7 Leviathan. This amp is incredible. I'm still in the honeymoon phase with this amp, but I'll tell you what, I'm really digging it so far. So with this amplifier, you have 2 channels, and you have 2 modes in channel 1. You have a low gain and then a high gain mode, and I'll show you the difference between those in a minute. But look at how it looks. I mean, it just looks like a really badass amplifier. These are hand-built in Italy as well, just like the Mesa Barbas. And you also get a bright switch on each channel, and you also get independent EQs on each channel, along with 2 master volumes, so you can have one channel set up for a rhythm and another one set up for lead, and have that lead boost if you need it. So having 2 master volumes is amazing. And you also get MIDI, which is an awesome piece of tech that's been around for decades, but it's still so handy. This amplifier comes with it. So great amplifier, sounds killer. I'll actually be shooting it out with my Stealth very soon, but for the price and the features, this amp totally fits the bill regarding sound, feel, features, quality, all of it. It's just a great amp. So I'm going to start out in channel 1 with the hot switch off, and then I'm going to go ahead and play a couple riffs on that, and then I'll engage the hot switch. So when you see me reach over here, I'm turning on the hot switch, and you'll hear the amp just jump out and get really aggressive. And that's channel 1. Then I'm going to switch to channel 2 and show you what that sounds like with rhythm and leads, so you can hear the full spectrum of this amplifier. So let's get started on that one now. Alright, so now let's hear channel 2. I mean, what a complete fire breather. This thing is freaking amazing. Tons and tons of gain on channel 2. I'm still working on dialing it in, and I know that was probably a lot of gain for the rhythm, but it was set up for a lead channel. So anyways, it's just a really good amp. So if you're looking for something really unique, any one of these amplifiers would do it for you. The Red 7 definitely has its own thing going on as far as the high gain stuff. I really love channel 1. It's really thick and beefy, but it's got a lot of great gain and attack and saturation. It just feels really good to play. It makes you just want to grip the neck, you know, and play harder. It doesn't force you to. So you don't have to get the response out of it, but it just makes you want to really dig in and play because it's a lot of fun and it responds very well to that. And it does have a great response to a light touch as well. And then channel 2, just so much gain and aggression, and it just sounds killer, and it's also just as much fun to play. And I feel really supported with the leads. It just sounds phenomenal. So to sum it up with the amp demos, all 4 of these amplifiers sound amazing, and they have really good features, and they all give you a great value. And I guarantee you this, any one of these amplifiers would be a better choice for you than a lot of those overpriced boutique amps out there. Seriously, line them up and check out the features and the price. You're going to find that you're going to get a hell of a lot more out of the 4 amps that I showed you than you would with a lot of these supposedly legendary overpriced boutique amps out there. Now again, I'm not talking to the guys who genuinely love these amplifiers and buy them for their tone. I'm just trying to tell you to not buy an amplifier just because of all of the fancy buzzwords, hype, and status that's associated with them. I think the word sheeple comes to mind. It's so easy to get caught up in all that because you see everyone getting so much praise for owning some of these amplifiers, and that's honestly what these companies are hoping for. I mean, of course, people are going to brag about their very expensive purchase. They need to feel good about it, right? And the high price of these amplifiers ensure that they will shout their praises from the rooftops. You gotta admit, it's a great marketing strategy. You ever wonder why some of these companies don't do a lot of marketing anymore? It's because their customers are actually paying them thousands of dollars to do their marketing for them. Let me say that again. Their customers are actually paying them thousands of dollars to do their marketing for them. They overpay for the amplifier, and then they run around justifying the purchase by bragging about all of the buzzwords that are associated with the amplifier so that they can feel good about their purchase. Meanwhile, they're doing all of this promotion for the company. Like I said before, what a brilliant marketing strategy. I mean, I understand where they're coming from. I mean, heck, if I bought a new Maserati, I would definitely take it for a spin around the block several times so that all my neighbors would see it. But I certainly wouldn't buy one without all the amenities that I'm entitled to, especially considering the price. You know, I get asked from time to time, why don't I have brand X, Y, or Z on my shelves behind me? I'll just sum it up this way. Sometimes it's because regardless of the price, some of these amplifiers just don't work for me regarding tone and feel. But even if they did, I still wouldn't buy them because in my opinion, the value simply is not there. There are much better options for me in that regard, as clearly displayed earlier in this video. Trust me, I've been tempted with the whole status thing. I mean, I have a YouTube channel, and it would be nice to have the status associated with having some of these amplifiers on my shelves behind me. I've even toyed with the idea that my channel would be more legit if I had some of these amps, and then I could be one of the cool kids. But my principles just won't let me do that. So in summary, do what works for you. And for those of you who say, yeah, but I just don't need all of those features. I just want a good sounding, no frills, high-end amp. I say, well, fine. Go ahead and pay way too much for your basic no frills amp. I mean, seriously, if you really do like the amp and the way it sounds, then go buy it. But as for me, I want to buy amplifiers from builders who want to work hard to earn my business, as opposed to the ones who feel entitled to it because of their legendary status. And to all of the amp builders out there, and I'm talking startups, mid-level, all the way up to the legendary ones, thank you very much for making such great products for us to enjoy. But if you're one of those amp builders out there and you're watching this and you think some of what I had to say here pertains to you, it probably does. And from one business owner to another, I implore you to step outside of your sphere and take a look around at your competition and see what they're offering their and possibly your customers. In many ways, I think that you'll find that they have matched your level of quality regarding build and components while giving their customers many of the features that I mentioned earlier in this video. Or you can choose to rest on your laurels and hope that your legendary status will carry you through. If you do, keep in mind that it's just a matter of time before these guys catch up to you and maybe even blow right past you in the marketplace. I don't know. I just think that there's some companies out there that can step up their game and offer more for the extremely high price that they are charging for their amplifiers. I mean, some of these features, including MIDI and some of the switches, there's not a lot of cost associated with them. I mean, come on. MIDI, it's been around for decades. It's probably the cheapest thing that you could put into an amplifier. You know, I mean, it's old tech. I mean, how much could it really cost to put MIDI in an amplifier? It's not like it's going to jack the price way up. And I don't want to hear all this stuff about, well, since we got all these high-end components in our amplifiers, we can't afford to put all these switches in there and, you know, all these other features because it's going to jack the price up even higher. Well, how come other companies are doing it and they're cheaper than some of your guys' amps? Seriously, how come you can get a company like Rev and have all of the features that are packed inside of that amplifier and have it priced the way it is and still be cheaper than some basic bitch single channel or even dual channel amplifier out there that's only 50 watts? I mean, give me a freaking break. I mean, I'm sorry, but I am not going to spend that much money on an amplifier that does one or two things and has zero features on it and it's only 50 watts when I could spend less than that on a 120 watt hand-built quality component amplifier that is jam-packed full of tons of features like the Rev Generator Mark III. I mean, I'm sorry, but for my money, that's where I'm going. And that's just proof that some of these amp builders are just completely taking advantage of you with their reputation and their status in the industry and how long they've been there and who they've worked with in the past, and they're just riding that wave for all it's worth. Now, it's okay for them to go ahead and do that, and as long as people keep buying their products for their price that they're asking, then go ahead, keep going. But I'm just telling you guys, there are better options out there right now, and I gave you just a few today in this video. But if you look hard enough, and you really don't have to look that hard, you can find some really good alternatives out there to some of the amps that you're looking at. And if you line them up side by side, feature for feature, dollar for dollar, you are going to see what I'm talking about, and you're most likely going to change gears and go with some of these other products because they just offer way, way more value and quality for your money. And some of you might say, well, you know, I don't really need all those features. Really? How do you know that? You've never had an amp that has those features, you know? So until you've actually played one and found out how cool some of these features are and how handy they are, how do you really know whether or not you need them? Do yourself a favor and do some research before you make your next big amp purchase and spend a ton of money on an amplifier. Make sure you're getting the most for your money. I mean, there's nothing wrong with spending a bunch of money on an amplifier. Just make sure that you're getting everything that you want, because there's plenty of amp builders out there that are willing to give it to you. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video informative, and I hope you enjoyed it. And to all my subscribers and Patreon supporters, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, please do, and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I come out with a new episode. Well, I got a lot of great stuff coming up, and I'll see you on the next one.